Alrighty, another edition of the Sports Town Podcast, season number 2, episode number 38. I'm once again joined by my co-host, Michael Menser, who is also the host of the YouTube gaming channel, Mr. M. How's it going, Mike?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I am doing well. So the big news, of course, was Dak Prescott getting paid. Now, I know when this is released, it will be probably on Saturday or Sunday. But when we were recording this, it was actually on Wednesday, so it was just like a day or two before. But anyways, before we start with that, though, we like to mention that it's been now close to a year, not close to, it's been a year since we've been doing the podcast. Of course, originally with 7-Eleven Sports, but now it is Sports Town. But, it's been crazy how we've been able to do this, especially during the pandemic. And it's crazy how our first basically right when we started releasing the episodes, that's when everything was shut down. So it's crazy how that works. Michael, can you believe it's been already a year?
No, I can't. I mean, this is around the same time I started uploading too, and I just want to give you props for being able to do it consistently. I know it hasn't been easy this past year, but I'm proud of you for being able to keep it up, and yeah, keep it up.
Oh, okay. Thanks for that. For all the listeners too that want to listen, if it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, other ones like Google Podcasts and stuff like that. Again, thanks for, listening. If it wasn't for you guys, we probably wouldn't be doing it. So again, it's been a crazy year. We've been able to get through it. And of course, we look to having a great 2021 year. Michael, so the big news was Dak Prescott getting paid. What was your first thoughts on Dak Prescott signing that massive payday with Dallas?
I thought it was a little bit much. I thought that he would probably, if he did get re-signed, it would have been a decent sized contract, but I didn't really expect it to be, as much as it was. So
Well, I originally thought it was going to be I thought he was going to get franchise tagged or traded. I didn't think he was actually going to get the paid by the Cowboys, because it seems like every single year he would get either franchise tagged or he'd have to wait. And it was reported that at one time he wanted 40 or 45 for 4 years. Jerry Jones and the Cowboys wanted 5 years, and eventually Jerry Jones gave in. It's just, I don't know. I don't think Dak Prescott is worth that much, but I guess props to Dak for being able to get the contract he wanted. So looks like Russell Wilson is not headed to Dallas. I'm shocked. I don't think he's worth that much, but we'll see what happens. The Cowboys have a lot to do in the offseason. Their offensive line, they need to work on there. They need to find a defense. That defense was just terrible last year. Michael, what do you think the Cowboys need to do in the offseason now that they've signed Prescott to a massive payday?
I think the biggest thing is that they need to get better on defense, and I think they could also use some better offensive linemen, just because their offensive line has not been the same since they have been Dak's rookie year. They've been dealing with a lot of injuries, retirements, and so I think that should be a concern. And then maybe getting one more tight end or receiver to go opposite Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup.
Yeah, and they haven't really had a good tight end since Jason Witten was in his prime back in the early 2010s. So yeah, they need to figure out what they needed at the tight end position. There's Zach Ertz might be a free agent. Of course, if he gets traded, which it seems like he might get traded, but it seems like he's going to be a free agent. I mean, if I was the Cowboys, I would look into that. Gronk's going to be a free agent. Hunter Henry's going to be a free agent. So there's a plethora of good tight ends that will be available when offseason begins, which is actually next week, which is crazy. That's of course going to be the time where it's just going to be hectic and basically all hell is going to break loose. So as we mentioned, Dak Prescott gets paid. The Cowboys, what they need in the offseason. Do you think Mike McCarthy is good enough to take the Cowboys to the next level, Mike?
Uh, I think he could potentially give them a playoff run and maybe even a Super Bowl. I mean, he was able to do it with Rodgers, so I don't see why he can't do it with Dak.
Well, he found the blueprint last year. I mean, he started smashing watermelons, and they went 2-0 or 3-0 when he did it. So if he needs to just smash watermelons all every 16, 17 games they play this year. Because if they smash watermelons, they're probably going to go undefeated. But I definitely think Mike McCarthy's good enough to lead them to a Super Bowl. I mean, back in 2011, he helped the Packers go to the Super Bowl, and Aaron Rodgers was not the same quarterback as he is today. So I don't think Mike McCarthy gets enough credit for that. But It's still a little skeptical, but I believe Mike McCarthy can take the Cowboys to that next level. And of course, they're in a not a very good division. So even if they win 8 games, they're most likely winning that division. But the Cowboys need to win 10 or at least 11 games this season now that they've paid Prescott. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Cowboys moving forward. But they just need to win that division first. And I think they need to at least win 11 games. They have I'm trying to remember what pick. I think they have the 12th pick this year, or no, they have you know what draft pick they have this year, Michael? Is it the 10th?
Not off the top of my head. I could check that really quick.
I think it is the 10th overall pick. And if it is, it seems like they would either draft an offensive lineman or a pass rusher. And there's going to be a plethora of those available. But
They do have the 10th.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think they could either go the direction of Penny Sewell, the offensive tackle out of Oregon. They could just go ahead and take the pass rusher, Micah Pearson from Penn State. Maybe they could go with Kwity Paye from Michigan. Maybe they go the secondary route and take Patrick Surtain if he's still available. I don't think he's going to be available that late, but a lot can happen. What do you think the Cowboys will do with the 10th overall pick, Mike?
I think they'll probably get that offensive lineman. I think Penny, whatever his name, Penny what?
Penny Sewell.
Yeah, I think that's what they'll end up getting.
I would agree with you there because it seems like there's so many good receivers that we could see at least 3 or 4 in the top 10. Jamari Chase, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, and maybe Terrence Marshall slips into the top 10. But yeah, the Cowboys will definitely have their choice because they don't really need any receivers. I mean, they drafted CeeDee Lamb last year. The jury's still out on him. They still have Amari Cooper. He's getting paid way too much, but anything can happen this year. Maybe he'll have 1,400 yards this year, which would be unbelievable. So the Cowboys, in my opinion, they should either draft Penny Sewell or maybe a pass rusher like a Kwity Paye, or if a corner like Patrick Surtain is still available, I would go that route. Is Dak Prescott an elite quarterback, Mike?
I would say he's an above average. I wouldn't I wouldn't quite put him in like, top 5, maybe top 10, but yeah, I just think he's got like there's so many good quarterbacks out there. I just think it's hard to put him above.
Well, to be honest with you, I don't think Dak Prescott is a top 10 quarterback. I don't think he is. I think he's anywhere between 11 and 14. And that's not
Yeah.
a knock on him. It just, I haven't seen quite enough from Dak Prescott for me to really think that he's in top 10 quarterback. I think he's a good quarterback, but he's not a great quarterback. And there's a huge difference between good and great. And what we've seen from Prescott, 2 years ago, he had a chance to lead the Cowboys to the playoffs, but they couldn't beat an Eagles team that was half their lineup was injured and they still lost to him. So that kind of concerns me. Last year, before he got hurt, he was tearing it up, but the problem was the team wasn't that successful. They were like 2-2 or something like that, or 2-3. So I'm still not convinced on Dak Prescott being an elite quarterback. I don't think he's worth the money he's getting, but I think that he deserves some money. I just don't think he's worth the money he's getting currently. I heard this question a lot when he got signed. Was it a great day for the Cowboys when they signed Prescott to that mega deal, Michael?
I think for Cowboys fans, yes, just because it relieved a lot of the anxiety of like what's going to happen with him. But I mean, like I said, I don't think he's a great quarterback. I think he's a good quarterback. So like, I don't really think that it's like it's not like they signed like Patrick Mahomes or anything.
I think it was a great day for Dak. I don't think it was a great day for the Cowboys because they finally had to give in and overpay for Dak Prescott. And now they got to see what they can do in the offseason because it seems like they don't have a lot of money left to where they can sign players in it and boost that team up to maybe finally winning that division, finally making a run the playoffs. So I think it was a great day for Dak. It just wasn't a very good day for the Cowboys. Let's now head on. Or actually, before we end this conversation about Dak, what do you have? What's your predictions for the Cowboys next season, Michael?
I think depends on what they do in free agency in the draft, but I think they probably have a good shot at winning the division right now. If they can get better on defense, I think that's the biggest thing. If they can get better on defense, I think they have the best roster on the team, and I think they probably will win the division.
I could see them winning 10 games this year and winning the division. It's just a thing of, can that defense stop anybody? Can the offense produce consistently? Because I think if that defense isn't going to be great, that offense needs to score a lot of points. And Prescott needs to throw at least 30 or 40 touchdowns this season. So I'm going to say they do end up winning the division at 10-6, but they don't get very far in the playoffs and lose in the opening round. All right, let's go to the NFL free agency preview. It is next week, or this Wednesday, actually, on March 17th. It's crazy how it's already about to start. All hell is going to break loose. What's your what team should we be keeping an eye on this upcoming Wednesday, Michael, for to sign the top free agent?
I mean, I think the Bengals might have a good shot at it, so I wouldn't be surprised, you know.
Who do you think the Bengals are going to pick up this free agency?
Uh, what I think they're going to do is I think they're going to get rid of AJ Green, and then they're going to pick up like Allen Robinson or Kenny Galladay.
Well, actually, that does bring me to my next point. Kenny Gallaudet is actually a free agent, but Allen Robinson is not. He was franchise tagged by the Bears, so he's going to be at least with Chicago for this season, unless the Bears were to trade him, which I don't think they're going to do. So, I mean, the Bengals do have a good shot at signing Kenny Gallaudet, but Allen Robinson and Chris Godwin were franchise tagged. So that the Buccaneers, unless they trade it, or not if the Bengals, the only way they could obtain those players if they traded for him. So they'll have to wait at least next year if they want to sign him in free agency. What let's start off with, Kenny Galladay, of course, is a free agent. You said the Bengals. Is there any other teams that you could see him going to?
I can see him going to quite a bit of different teams. I think I can maybe possibly see the Cowboys going for him just to get another receiver opposite Amari Cooper. Uh, I could see him maybe going to the Packers just to like give Devontae Adams some help. Yeah.
Well, that would be interesting if Kenny Galladay decided to go to the Packers and stay in that division. I think the Lions would be kicking themselves every time they played. But the problem with the Packers is, do they have the money? And they don't even have enough money to pick to bring back Aaron Jones. So that would be kind of my concern. Kenny Galladay, he's a great receiver, or he's a good receiver. He's not great just yet because he's only been in the league for a few years and he's had a lot of injury seasons. But when he's fully healthy, he's a force to be reckoned with. The teams I could see him signing with is, of course, I could see the Bengals maybe making a run at it. If the Packers were to find cap room, I could definitely see them looking into him. Right now, I could see the Ravens. They need a receiver. They need a receiver desperately, and I think if they were to pick up Kenny Galladay, that would help Lamar Jackson out a ton. I could see them going to the Dolphins. If Tua is the quarterback there, they would need a receiver because all they really have over there is Devontae Parker, and you add Kenny Galladay. That team is pretty good, and Tua finally has some weapons to throw to. The Patriots, maybe. I mean, they have $67 million in cap this year. That's one of the most. So they don't usually pick up top free agents, but maybe Belichick changes his mind just so they can get back to winning football games. Another team under the radar, the Rams. If they were to find the room, they could bring back Kenny Galladay and Matt Stafford together. And then, of course, you already have guys like Cooper Kupp, and you already have Robert Woods, and that team would be stacked. So I could see the Ravens, Dolphins, Patriots, maybe the Steelers pick them up if they can find the money, or the Rams. Let's go on to another big free agent. That would be there's a Shaq Barrett, who is not going to be franchise tagged by the Buccaneers, which is a little shocking. Who do you see him going to, Mike?
Uh, I could see him going to. I think the Jets would be an interesting one. I think they could use another pass rusher. Dolphins, I think, is another good one too. Another team I think could possibly the Rams too. I think the Rams still need a little bit of help on the edge rusher area, and I think he could provide some help. So yeah.
Well, first of all, I'm shocked that the Buccaneers didn't franchise tag Shaq Barrett and decided to tag Chris Godwin. No disrespect to Godwin, but he's definitely not Shaq Barrett. And Shaq Barrett was a huge help, or was one of the big reasons why the Buccaneers dominated the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. but I could see him going to a plethora of teams as well. The Ravens need a pass rusher. The Dolphins, now that they don't have Kyle Van Noy or they're going to trade him or something. I can't really see him going to the Rams just because I feel like they're pretty stacked on that defensive line, but why not? The more the merrier if they can find the money. The Giants is another team that I could see him going to. The Jets, in their old regime, they like to bring in the top free agents, and maybe they would pay him a lot. I think Joe Douglas, though, isn't really that type of guy. He likes to build within and draft players instead of signing the big free agents. If the Eagles can find the cap space, I could see them. But right now, I really think Shaq Barrett is going to go to a team with the most money. I don't think the Buccaneers are going to be able to do that because they have so many, stars right now, and they still have to figure out if they want to bring back Antonio Brown and Gronk. So I could see him going to the Panthers if they're not able to make the move for Deshaun Watson. So I would either say the Panthers or the Giants. I know it's two really shocking teams, but I could see them going there and getting a massive payday. Let's go into another free agent, or not. He's not a free agent, but it's reported that the Cleveland Browns are looking to trade Odell Beckham Jr. Tom Brady wants him. I don't think that's going to happen. Could you see Odell Beckham in Tampa this season, Mike?
Uh, Possibly, but I don't think it's really going to happen. But I think they had to give up a lot to get him, I think.
Yeah, I don't really know how they would be able to do that because they're bringing back Chris Godwin unless they trade him, which I don't think they're going to do. They are going to have to bring back Antonio Brown. I mean, I just don't know how that's going to work because you have to. I mean, there's a salary cap and it's actually less than it was in the previous year, so I can't see Odell Beckham going. I could definitely see Odell. I think Odell Beckham's time in Cleveland is over, but I could see him going. I mean, the Packers would make the most sense, but I don't think they're going to make that move because they would have to give up a lot. And again, the Packers aren't known to trade first-round picks for a player. I don't think he's going to be. He can't be traded within the division. It's going to be interesting to see where Odell Beckham lands. I mean, New England makes a lot of sense. They have the cap room. They have the assets to trade for him. They have a plethora of draft picks. I could see him in New England next year. Another team that kind of would be under the radar would be maybe the Chargers. They have Keenan Allen, but Mike Williams has been not great. And if you pair Odell Beckham and Keenan Allen with a young quarterback like Justin Herbert, who had an excellent year last year, that would definitely make for a good team. So I'm gonna either say the Patriots or the Chargers. Is there another free agents that you can think of right now, Michael, that will be with a new team when the offseason or when free agency begins?
Not off the top of my head, no.
I actually just thought of one player that could be a pretty big free agent, Matt Judon and Yannick Ngakoue of the Ravens. They were both not franchise tagged, so they're going to be free agents. It seems like every year Matt Judon would get franchise tagged, but now he's pretty much free to sign with any team. I think he wants to return to Baltimore, but do the Ravens have that money? I think they're probably going to bring him back. If they don't, what team do you think Judon could be playing for next year, Michael?
Well, like you said, I would expect him to return. If he doesn't return, I think the Dolphins could be a good uh fit for that. Uh, I think potentially the Raiders could be another good fit too, because they do kind of need some help along the edge too. So,
Well, the Raiders need a lot of help, and actually that brings me up to my next point. Trent Brown, they traded back to New England after acquiring him last year. It seems like the Raiders just like to wheel and deal. Did you see that trade yesterday, Michael?
I think I saw it, yeah.
Yeah, that really shocked me because I thought Trent Brown I thought he liked his time in Vegas and I thought the Raiders were confident with their tackle, but obviously that's not the case. And he even tweeted afterwards he was glad to be traded and he said he wasn't having fun in Vegas, which is really shocking. So he's back in New England. That definitely helps out the Patriots a ton. Their offense, they're going to get back David Andrews as well, so that just helps them, more. I was thinking there was another free agent recently that I could see being with a new team. Now I can't remember, but what do you think the Raiders will do this offseason now that it looks like Derek Carr is no longer going to be with them, Michael?
I think the first thing is they're going to try and get a quarterback in the draft, and then just build around him with all the good receivers that are in this draft.
Do you think they should draft our quarterback or trade for maybe Deshaun Watson if he's available?
I think their first move should be to trade, just because again they get they do that they get Deshaun Watson, and then yeah they might give up like a couple of first round picks, but this class is so stacked with receivers that they can get some in the later rounds to help uh build around Deshaun Watson. So
Well, they would have to give up a lot. I mean, they would have to at least give up 3 first round picks, probably like 3 second round picks in Derek Carr. And I don't know if the Texans are solely interested in Derek Carr if they're trading him. And there's reports that the Texans haven't even answered the calls that because there's been a multiple teams that have looked into Deshaun Watson and have tried to contact the Texans, but according to sources, the Texans are not answering their calls. So it seems like Deshaun Watson is going to be with the Texans next year. And if he doesn't report to training camp and all that, he's going to get fined. So it looks like the Texans have all the leverage, which is really shocking. But I think at some point, Deshaun Watson is going to have to trade. And I would love to see him with the Raiders. I think John Gruden, that Raiders team, would instantly become a Super Bowl contender. They need to bring back Nelson Aguilar, though, and they need to figure out what they need to do on the defensive side because they could not stop anybody last year. But again, time will tell. We'll see what happens. They've got to do well in the draft, and seems like they've struggled the last few years. Um, do you see Jimmy Garoppolo going back to New England because there's been reports that Garoppolo could be out of San Francisco? Michael, what's your opinion on that?
I think he'll be out of San Francisco, but I don't necessarily think he'll go back to New England. Just because I think they still got Cam Newton, and yeah, I just don't think that will happen.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't. I don't think Cam Newton's returning because I think he's a free agent. I don't think the Patriots are going to bring him back. I could definitely see the Patriots bringing back Jimmy G or maybe Teddy Bridgewater making a trade with the Panthers. I mean, maybe you acquire Derek Carr, Matt Ryan could be available. It seems like right now he's not, but maybe the Falcons, decide to change their mind. I mean, there's just so many things that can happen this offseason. It's going to be a wild, that's for sure. Um, but anyways, I know it's early, but do you have a Super Bowl prediction yet, Michael?
No, not really. I'd have to uh wait for more teams to kind of see what they do before I go out and make it. But if I had to pick, I guess right now, I guess I would say the Rams would look like they're going to be a pretty good team. I think the Chiefs, the Ravens are obviously going to be good. So yeah, I think it'd be one of those three teams.
Yeah, I'm still going to stick with the Rams and Ravens, even though a lot of people like to say the Buccaneers just because they have Tom Brady. But at some point, I think there's going to be someone overtaking Brady. Before we head to championship weekend or championship week in college basketball, who do you think the best free agent right now is, Michael?
Right now, I would probably say Kenny Galladay. I think uh he's still I think he's a little bit underrated just because he's had like a lot of injuries and stuff. And yeah, but I think he is a little bit underrated, but I do think he's really good.
I think Kenny Galladay is a great receiver. When he's healthy, I think he's a top. Well, I think when he's healthy, he is a top 10 receiver. I would definitely agree with right now. I think he's the best free agent because it seems because Dak before the season, before Prescott signed that massive deal in Dallas, he was the best free agent. But I think right now, I would probably put Kenny Galladay over AJ Green as just the best player in free agency. Shaq Barrett is a free agent. That's going to be crazy. Um, but yes, I would agree with you on Kenny Galladay being the best free agent. All right, champ. Thanks for listening to the Sports Town Podcast, or the STP Pod for short. If you want to check out more videos of the Sports Town Podcast, click on the left. If you want to subscribe to the channel, click on the right. Thanks for listening to the Sports Town Podcast, or the STP Pod for short. If you want to check out more videos of the Sports Town Podcast, click on the left. If you want to subscribe to the channel, click on the right.